December 21st, 2003. Homeland Security Secretary Tom Ridge raises America's terror threat to code orange, the highest since September 11th. Air France cancels 6 flights. A British Airways 747 reverses course over the Atlantic, escorted by RAF fighters. In Manhattan, armed police evacuate 5,000 tourists from the Metropolitan Museum at gunpoint, hustling families past Egyptian mummies into the freezing streets. Inside the White House Situation Room, officials debate the unthinkable, ordering F-16As to shoot down passenger planes full of American families coming home for Christmas. All of this traces back to one intelligence source. The CIA didn't just believe him. They built him a classified facility, gave him top-secret clearance, and routed his printouts directly to the president's desk. When French intelligence finally examined his decoded Al-Qaeda messages, their verdict was devastating, mathematically impossible. The data couldn't exist. America nearly committed fratricide over fiction, but the real scandal isn't how he fooled them. It's what happened next. The CIA didn't expose the fraud. They buried it so deep that Dennis Montgomery walked free, collected $20 million more from the Pentagon, and went on to con again. How did a casino tech nearly cause America to kill its own citizens? And why did the government protect him instead of prosecuting him? 1998. Reno, Nevada. A 40-year-old medical technician named Dennis Montgomery decides he's finished drawing blood samples. He rebrands himself as a software entrepreneur and teams up with Warren Trepp, a high-rolling investor with a checkered past. Together, they launch eTrepid Technologies, a company selling video compression tools to casino surveillance departments. Montgomery's software helps pit bosses catch card counters by analyzing footage in real time. It's clever work. The biggest threats his code ever identified were math students trying to beat the house. But Montgomery has a problem that will define everything that follows. He's a compulsive gambler. What Vegas insiders call a wall Caesar's Palace treats him like royalty, because he plays until he's buried. He bets 6 figures on weekend binges, chasing losses. By 2001, he's bounced $1.8 million in personal checks to Sin City casinos, Caesars, the Bellagio, and the Mirage. The man who will soon claim to decode Al-Qaeda communications cannot keep his finances solvent. Montgomery couldn't break the loop. The casino floor, the 6-figure bets, the chase. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was the pattern, the ritual. And patterns like that are harder to quit than most people think. That's something anyone who's tried to quit vaping or smoking understands. Cravings aren't just about nicotine. They're about the habit, the hand-to-mouth motion, the oral fixation, that momentary pause your brain has learned to expect. Take away the substance and the loop still fires. That's exactly what Fium was designed for. Fium is a flavored air device. No nicotine, no vapor, no batteries. It's a weighted, fidget-friendly tool that gives your hands and mouth something to reach for when cravings hit. Instead of fighting the habit, you redirect it. And their new Fium topper adds a soft, replaceable mouthpiece you can chew on. So when that oral fixation kicks in, you've got something safe to work with. Right now, when you grab a Journey Pack, you'll get a free Fium topper just for using my code BLACKFILES. Head to tryfium.com, that's tryfum.com, and use code BLACKFILES to get your free Fium topper with your Journey Pack. Grab it while it's available. But Montgomery wasn't looking for a way out of his patterns. He was about to use them. His partner Trepp carries baggage of his own. Before eTrepid, Trepp served as chief junk bond trader for Michael Milken at Drexel Burnham Lambert, the firm whose 1980s fraud became a symbol of Wall Street corruption and helped trigger the savings and loan crisis. Milken went to prison. Trepp avoided indictment but not scandal. So by 2002, eTrepid's leadership consists of a gambling addict and a financier schooled in the art of the questionable deal. Not exactly the team you'd trust with national secrets, but post 9/11 America isn't asking hard questions about credentials. Then came September 11th, 2001. The attacks shatter every assumption about American security. In the aftermath, Washington floods money toward anything that promises to stop the next plot. Defense budgets balloon from $287 billion to $400 billion by 2003. Intelligence agencies sprint to acquire new technology, new methods, new sources, anything. Fear drowns skepticism. Oversight evaporates. Contractors who once struggled to get meetings now find open doors. And Dennis Montgomery spots his opening. It starts with a favor. In 2002, a Nevada congressman with connections to E-Trepid arranges a meeting at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Montgomery walks into the Directorate of Science and Technology carrying nothing but a laptop and a wild claim. He has no security clearance, no intelligence background, no peer-reviewed research, no credentials in cryptography, counterterrorism, or signals analysis. What he has is confidence and a story that sounds like a rejected Tom Clancy subplot. Montgomery tells the CIA's gadget geeks that his casino software can do more than catch card cheats. It can, he claims, detect hidden terrorist messages. Al-Qaeda, he says, is embedding coded instructions inside Al Jazeera broadcasts, coordinates, flight numbers, attack dates, invisible to the naked eye but readable by his proprietary algorithm. Terrorists are watching the Arab satellite news channel and receiving orders through pixels no one else can see. Only Dennis Montgomery possesses the key. The officials should escort him out. Instead, they lean forward. This is 2002. The wound of 9/11 is raw. The worst professional sin in intelligence is dismissing a warning that turns out to be real. What if this strange software salesman is right? What if he's found something everyone else missed? The CIA doesn't slam the door. They open it wider. But how do you verify claims about invisible data that only one man's algorithm can see? What tests did the CIA conduct before handing Montgomery access to classified facilities? And why would a casino tech suddenly pivot to counterterrorism, unless he saw something else entirely? A government desperate enough to pay for miracles. Langley gives the green light. Within months, the CIA transforms a corner of E-Trepid's Reno office into a SCIF. Cipher locks seal the doors. Top-secret safes line the walls. Heavy-duty shredders stand ready to destroy anything that touches paper. CIA personnel arrive with briefcases handcuffed to their wrists. Couriers transport classified material under armed escort. To E-Trepid's neighbors, it looks like a tech startup hit the jackpot. They're half right. The jackpot is real. The technology is not. Inside that secure room, Montgomery begins producing intelligence. His method is opaque. His software ingests Al Jazeera broadcasts and spits out reams of printouts, numbers, coordinates, cryptic letter strings. Montgomery interprets these outputs as decoded Al-Qaeda communications, locations, names, timelines. He claims the terror network is using steganography, hiding data within data, to communicate in plain sight. The CIA handlers treat this raw output as genuine signals intelligence. They stamp it top secret and send it up the chain. Langley analysts receive the reports and scramble to cross-reference them with other sources. CIA leadership reads the summaries. Director of Central Intelligence George Tenet is briefed personally. And then Montgomery's printouts reach the White House, where they land on desks in the National Security Council. A pipeline now connects a gambling addict in Reno directly to the Oval Office. No independent verification, no outside expert, no professor of computer science, no NSA cryptographer ever examines the algorithm or replicates its results. Classification becomes a shield. Only those already invested can access it, and they have every incentive to believe. Skepticism suffocates. Anyone who might debunk the claims cannot learn they exist. One CIA veteran will later summarize the dynamic with bitter clarity. We were so eager to catch Al-Qaeda, we suspended our disbelief. The institutional immune system, the checks, the vetting, the professional caution developed over 50 years, all of it short-circuited by terror-era urgency. And Montgomery is happy to feed that fear. His outputs grow more alarming, more specific, more urgent. Each batch of printouts screams of imminent danger. In early 2003, E-Trepid secured a contract worth approximately $10 million from the U.S. Air Force and Special Operations Command to develop counterterrorism applications of Montgomery's software. The Pentagon is now paying Dennis Montgomery to build terror decoding tools that no one outside his laptop has ever validated. A man who owes Vegas casinos 7 figures is on the federal payroll, trusted with defending the homeland. His company's secure room is humming with classified activity. His bank account is filled with taxpayer money. But the contracts are just the beginning. By late 2003, Montgomery's printouts will trigger something far more dangerous than wasted money. They will bring America to the brink of shooting down its own airliners, hundreds of innocent people incinerated by their own military because a gambler fed the government fiction dressed as fact. How does fabricated data travel from a Reno office to a White House order authorizing lethal force? And what happens when the people who believe the lie discover they've been conned? Late 2003, Montgomery's outputs grow ominous. His software, he claims, has decoded a specific and imminent plot embedded in recent Al Jazeera footage. The targets: international flights bound for the United States during the Christmas travel season. The details seem shockingly precise. Air France Flight 68 from Paris to Los Angeles, British Airways routes from London Heathrow, Aeromexico flights from Mexico City. The timing: December 24th through January 2nd. According to Montgomery, Al-Qaeda cells have received instructions to hijack or bomb multiple aircraft simultaneously. A coordinated strike across the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Gulf of Mexico. A second 9/11, but larger. His printouts include what appear to be seat assignments for hijackers, target landmarks in American cities, and countdown timers expressed in code. When this hits Langley, alarms shriek. The CIA isn't about to second-guess the source now, not with a supposed doomsday weeks away. Director Tenet rushes the intelligence to President George W. Bush. The message is unambiguous. Credible intelligence indicates a massive, imminent terror attack. Hundreds or thousands of lives are at stake. The president's response: do whatever you need to do. The full weight of the American security apparatus swings into motion. On December 21st, the White House announces Code Orange. Officially, the elevation is based on credible intelligence of imminent attacks. The public doesn't know the source is a casino tech's mysterious algorithm. They only see the consequences, and the consequences are chaos. Air France cancels 6 flights in 48 hours. A Paris-bound 747 already airborne over the Atlantic reverses course and returns to Charles de Gaulle. British Airways delays and reroutes flights from Heathrow. One jet lands under RAF fighter escort. Aeromexico aircraft are turned away at the U.S. border. Airports on 3 continents descend into pandemonium. Thousands of passengers stranded in terminals. Families separated across oceans. Children crying in departure lounges. Fear spreads through every boarding gate. On American soil, security measures escalate to levels unseen since September 2001. In New York, National Guard troops in combat gear patrol Penn Station with automatic rifles. NYPD counterterrorism units sweep Grand Central Terminal. The Metropolitan Museum empties at gunpoint. Holiday tourists herded past Vermeers and Van Goghs into the December cold of Central Park, while bomb squads check every gallery, every closet, every heating vent. In Los Angeles, LAX closes entire parking structures for inspection. Snipers take positions on terminal rooftops. In Washington, concrete barriers ring the Capitol and the Mall. The White House grounds swarm with Secret Service agents braced for attack. For 7 days, the fever holds. Christmas arrives under the shadow of phantom attackers. Families eat holiday dinners with the television tuned to CNN, waiting for the explosion that never comes. New Year's Eve passes without incident. By January 2nd, some inside the administration begin asking an uncomfortable question. Did we get this catastrophically wrong? Inside the White House Situation Room, a small group of senior officials convenes for a meeting that will later chill anyone who learns of it. The agenda: given the intelligence they believe they possess, should the military preemptively shoot down suspicious passenger aircraft if they appear to veer toward a target? A Boeing 747 carrying 300 Americans over the Atlantic, and men in a basement in Washington debating whether to destroy it based on Dennis Montgomery's printouts. Mothers, children, business travelers, families heading home for the holidays. Their lives weighed against data produced by a gambling addict in Nevada. America nearly convinced itself to commit fratricide to prevent an attack that never existed. What stops it? French intelligence. The French government, furious at the havoc inflicted on Air France's schedules and national reputation, demands to see the evidence that justified canceling their flights and humiliating their airline. American officials stall. The software is too classified to share, they claim. The tool is too sensitive. National security concerns. So the DGSE, France's external intelligence agency, conducts its own investigation. French engineers obtain copies of the same Al Jazeera broadcasts Montgomery claimed were laden with hidden messages. They examine the video files frame by frame. They test for steganographic data using every method known to computer science. They calculate the available bandwidth. Their conclusion arrives in early January 2004, and it is devastating. The American claims are scientifically impossible. The video files lack the data capacity to hide the volume of coordinates and names Montgomery was allegedly extracting. The encoding schemes he described violate basic information theory. It would be like encoding a novel inside a single sentence. Mathematically absurd. Whatever algorithm Montgomery sold the CIA, it produces noise, not intelligence. The man is either deluded or lying. French officials relay their findings to their American counterparts through diplomatic channels. The message is blunt. Your software is nonsense. Your source is worthless. You nearly started an international crisis over nothing. The CIA's reaction is volcanic. But what happens when an agency discovers it's been fooled, and that admitting the truth would expose a catastrophic failure reaching all the way to the Oval Office? What lengths will they go to in order to bury the embarrassment? And will anyone be held accountable for nearly killing hundreds of innocent people? Inside Langley, the French report detonates. Professionals who staked their careers on Montgomery's intelligence feel duped, humiliated, and betrayed. They had elevated the terror threat to code orange. They had grounded international flights. They had debated shooting down passenger jets, all because they trusted a con man with a laptop. A few insiders had sensed trouble earlier. One junior counterintelligence officer reportedly tried to slow the operation in late 2003, flagging inconsistencies in Montgomery's outputs. The coordinate formats didn't match known Al-Qaeda communication patterns. The timelines contradicted other intelligence streams. Something felt wrong. His reward for raising these concerns, he was told to shut up and get with the program. Questioning the intelligence meant questioning senior leadership. In a bureaucracy, that's career suicide. So dissent was strangled in its crib, and the machinery rolled forward until the French stopped it cold. Now comes the moment for accountability. Congressional investigations, Senate hearings. A private contractor nearly caused mass tragedy through fraud. Surely there will be consequences. Surely heads will roll. Surely someone will explain to the American public how a gambling addict in Nevada nearly got hundreds of people killed. Instead, the CIA does something extraordinary. It buries everything. In early 2004, once the immediate crisis passes and the holiday threat fades into memory, the agency quietly terminates Montgomery's access. The secure room in Reno is dismantled piece by piece. The cipher locks come off the doors. The safes are emptied and hauled away. Montgomery's classified clearance evaporates. Effectively, they erase him from the intelligence community. But they do it silently. No press conferences, no announcements, no apologies to France for the chaos, no warnings to other U.S. agencies that might still be entrusting this guy with sensitive work. The entire Montgomery affair is sealed under the highest classification levels, not because of what Montgomery found, but because of what he fooled them into believing he found. Inside Langley, there is no comprehensive internal investigation that ever sees daylight. No one is publicly reprimanded. No career ends. The calculation is straightforward. Exposure would humiliate the agency, embarrass the president, shake public trust in intelligence, and reveal to adversaries just how gullible American spycraft had been. The safer path is silence, so silence becomes policy. But the cover-up has a fatal flaw. Montgomery didn't work only with the CIA. He also held contracts with the Air Force and Special Operations Command. And the CIA, jealously guarding its own embarrassment, fails to warn them. Each agency operates in its own silo, protecting its secrets, even from sister agencies that might be making the same mistake. The result is absurd beyond satire. In 2004, after the CIA already knows Montgomery is a fraud, Special Operations Command awards Intrepid a $30 million no-bid contract to continue developing his fictional software. That year, Intrepid Technologies rockets to 16th place among top earners in the entire U.S. defense industry. One arm of the government has identified Montgomery as a con artist. Another arm is shoveling him tens of millions of dollars. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is hiding. If the system worked, how could different agencies reach opposite conclusions about the same con artist? And if the cover-up was meant to protect national security, why did it ultimately protect only the people who failed? Even Intrepid employees knew the software was smoke and mirrors. Later, FBI investigators will interview staffers who describe in detail how Montgomery rigged demonstrations. When military or CIA representatives attended tests, Montgomery preloaded data and manipulated outputs to simulate success. He would announce what the software would find before running it, because he had planted the results. His own team watched him stage the whole performance, show after show. Some felt uncomfortable. Some exchanged nervous glances. None blew the whistle. The government checks kept clearing, and silence bought complicity. By 2005, Montgomery has extracted millions from federal contracts. But greed and paranoia fracture his partnership with TREP. They battle over money, over ownership of the technology, if it deserves that name, over Montgomery's increasingly erratic behavior. Lawsuits erupt in 2006. Montgomery flees Intrepid with hard drives containing classified material. State secrets now sit in the hands of a disgruntled grifter with a history of lies and a grudge against everyone who once helped him. In August 2006, FBI agents raid Montgomery's Nevada home and seize approximately 50 hard drives and computers. For the first time, investigators outside the CIA's protective bubble examine his materials. The evidence of fraud is overwhelming. Rigged demos, fabricated outputs, millions obtained under false pretenses. Accountability seems inevitable. The evidence is sitting in federal custody. And then, the government faces a choice: expose the truth and reveal its catastrophic failure to the public, or bury the evidence and let the con man walk free. If the evidence was already in federal custody, who was really being protected by burying it? The Justice Department intervenes, not to charge Dennis Montgomery, but to silence the case. As Montgomery and TREP's civil lawsuits churn through Nevada courts, the DOJ files an extraordinary motion invoking the state secrets privilege. Any discussion of Montgomery's work, his software, or his government contracts would threaten national security, federal prosecutors argue. Therefore, the evidence must stay sealed forever. Key portions of the case must be dismissed outright. The courtroom doors slam shut. The agencies would rather protect the fraudster than reveal how thoroughly he fooled them. For Montgomery, this is an unbelievable gift from the institution he defrauded. The government shields him from accountability in the name of protecting classified information. The cover-up isn't safeguarding the public. The victims, the stranded passengers, the evacuated tourists, the families who spent Christmas 2003 in terror will never get an explanation. Over 2007 and 2008, federal agents spent 3 days scrubbing Montgomery's seized hard drives, deleting or extracting every fragment of classified data so nothing can spill into a courtroom or a journalist's hands. They aren't preserving evidence. They're erasing institutional humiliation. At the end of it, Montgomery loses his toys but keeps his freedom. He never spends a day in jail. Despite overwhelming proof of fraud, fake demonstrations, non-functional software, tens of millions obtained under false pretenses, the United States government declines to prosecute Dennis Montgomery for any crime related to the hoax. The calculation is cold. Charging him would mean dragging the entire fiasco into open court. Witnesses would testify. Documents would surface. The public would learn how close we came to disaster. And that the powers that be decide cannot happen. If you're finding this story disturbing, consider subscribing. Most viewers watching right now aren't subscribed. and hitting that button helps this channel keep investigating scandals the government would rather you never heard. The fraud's details emerge anyway, through investigative journalists and candid insiders willing to talk. In 2010, a major expose labels Montgomery the man who conned the Pentagon. His own former lawyer goes on record calling him a con artist and a habitual liar engaged in fraud. The FBI knew the truth. The CIA knew the truth. Special Operations Command eventually figured it out. Everyone in a position to do something new. But officially, silence prevailed. The vault stayed sealed. No congressional committee ever held hearings asking how a casino tech nearly triggered friendly fire against American airliners. No CIA official was publicly fired or demoted. Special Operations Command quietly terminated its contract with Intrepid at some point. No press release, no explanation, no acknowledgement that anything had gone wrong. The Defense Department issued no statement. The scandal was classified, vaulted, and forgotten by everyone except those who lived it and the journalists who dug it up years later. And Dennis Montgomery? He lived to con again. In the 2000s, he approached Sheriff Joe Arpaio in Maricopa County, Arizona, peddling a conspiracy theory about federal surveillance targeting the controversial lawman. Arpaio paid him as an informant until experts confirmed Montgomery was producing junk data indistinguishable from random noise. Even Arpaio, no stranger to controversy and conspiracy, called it garbage and cut him loose. In 2020, Montgomery resurfaced with his most audacious claim yet, a supercomputer system he dubbed the Hammer and software called Scorecard that he alleged had been used to steal the presidential election by manipulating vote counts. This fantasy reached the highest levels of political power, discussed in the Oval Office itself, before being dismissed by cybersecurity experts as, predictably, a hoax. Sidney Powell and other election denial lawyers promoted his claims until they collapsed under scrutiny. The man never quits. Why would he? The lesson he learned in 2003 still holds. If your lie embarrasses the government badly enough, you might walk free forever. Accountability is for small-time grifters. Montgomery plays in a league where the victims have more to lose from exposure than the criminal does. Dennis Montgomery is not a criminal mastermind. He's not a genius. He's a stress test that the national security system failed catastrophically. He didn't outsmart anyone with brilliance. He exploited fear, secrecy, and the absence of accountability. He found the seams in a system bloated by post-9/11 panic, unlimited budgets, and the conviction that skepticism was unpatriotic. And he slipped through without consequence, again and again. In the end, the institutions sworn to protect the public protected only themselves. They were prepared to shoot down airliners full of American citizens based on a fraud. When confronted with their mistake, they chose concealment over correction, reputation over reform. The cover-up was the confession, no admission, no accountability, no lesson learned. Just pretend it never happened and hope no one notices. So the next time someone asks you to trust intelligence agencies without question, remember the gambler and his imaginary code-breaking machine. Remember how every layer of the system, CIA, Pentagon, Homeland Security, Justice Department, preferred saving face to telling the truth. They buried this so deep, they hoped no one would ever catch the stench. If a hoax this absurd could climb to the White House and almost cause mass tragedy before being swept into a classified vault, one question lingers. What else don't we know? And if you want to see another case where the people in charge chose secrecy over honesty, where the cover-up revealed more than the crime, watch our video on the intelligence failures that shape the modern world. The pattern will look disturbingly familiar. And a quick thanks to FIAM for supporting this video. Remember, head to tryfiam.com and use code BLACKFILES for a free FIAM topper with your journey pack.